Check.
In the heart of a forest in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, cadaver dogs search through the snow. They pause every time they identify a lost soul.
So you'll see kind of the distance between the rows. Good. Good boy.
Many were buried in this cemetery as numbers, not names, from their time as patients in a historic, segregated asylum that shaped the lives of locals, like historian Janice Hayes Williams.
Is this land sacred to you?
100%. Yes, this is sacred.
Crownsville Hospital opened in 1911 and closed in 2004. For decades, it was the only place that accepted Black Marylanders suffering with mental illness. It was notorious for overcrowding and abuse, and as a symbol of America's racial divide.
If you lived here, this was a place you did not want to go. As a child, you were threatened by your parents or others. If you don't do what I tell you, I will send you to Crownsville.
Janice spent the last 20 years uncovering the names and stories of every last person buried here. Some died as children. Others froze in past winter storms. In several cases, patients were strangled and killed.
What have you found out about the patients here?
More than I want to. In order to recover the names, myself and volunteers went through thousands of death certificates. So we know the cause of death of every single person here. Very gruesome.
With Janice's help, this land will become a 500-acre memorial park that turns dilapidated hospital buildings into mental health treatment spaces, public gardens, and biking paths. The need is great. Last year, a record number of Americans took their own lives. Anne Arundel County Executive Stuart Pittman worked with Janice to secure an initial $30 million in funding from lawmakers.
In some ways, is Anne Arundel a microcosm of the United States?
Oh, I've always said a microcosm. And we have urban, rural, suburban. We're sort of purple politically. We're divided the way the country's divided. When we figure out how to do things in Anne Arundel County, it can be used anywhere in the country, I think.
What do you want people to see when they walk onto this property?
Great work being done by a lot of people from diverse backgrounds to make the human experience better.
Former Crownsville patient Reverend Sonia King shares the county executive's dream.
What does it mean for you to be here?
It means growth. It means freedom. It means God had plans for me. Plans to prosper me and not to cause me harm. Plans to give me a future filled with hope.
She came to Crownsville when she was just a sophomore in college, battling depression, a persistent belief that her life was no longer worthy.
It was hard. I was confused. Didn't know if I could continue on.
A team of nurses stepped up to help her recover. Every day they visited her on the wards and promised her this would not be the end of her story. One even came to her college graduation years later.
What do you think the potential is for this land?
I think this land has great potential. A lot could be done. Healing needs to occur. And from healing comes new growth.
Healing is what propels this project. Janice is the descendant of slaves who worked for the Maryland governor. County Executive Pittman, the descendant of those slave owners.
I think it starts with you. You're the one who brought me out here to the cemetery.
Their families represent two sides of the American story, but they say they've chosen to work together and talk it out, not erase what really happened.
And you're always telling me what to do, right?
This is amazing.
They occasionally do still bicker.
But then there's the government, the bureaucracy.
Yes.
And that's frustrating for you. It's frustrating for me sometimes too, but that's where the magic happens is when we figure out how to make the institutions respond to the heart.
In some ways, your family and personal histories mirror American history and the story of this county. Do you think about that when you're hanging out with each other, when you're working on projects together? Do you think about the fact that hundreds of years ago your ancestors might not have been able to get along?
The slave owner's descendant, and I'm the descendant of the slave. So I think we wear that like a banner because we are truly this county. So we do the good work because we had to.
I wouldn't call it guilt, I would call it justice.
Why do you think so many Americans are having a hard time having these conversations about history, collaborating with people who are different from them?
Fear of the unknown. Democrats, Republicans, black folks, white folks,
matter.
everybody.
That's correct.
We all struggle, but we learn from each other when we study it together.
On April 27th, the county will allow the public to visit Crownsville's Patient Cemetery. Hundreds of former patients, employees, and community members will come together to say out loud the names of the patients buried and forgotten on these grounds. And then they'll begin the work of renovation.
Did you ever think about giving up?
No. Never wanted to give up. Just knew it would be a long time. And we're here.
Reverend King has started to share her story publicly to inspire people of all backgrounds to have more compassion for those struggling with mental illness.
It's very important when you're depressed to talk to somebody, to share that with your family. You know, in the black community, to get psychological help is like taboo, but it really isn't. You need to talk to somebody about what's going on in your life so they can help you sort through it so that you don't end up in a place like this.
Why do you have the strength to speak out?
Because I need people to know that just because you go through something doesn't mean that's the end. Everybody has a story. They don't always tell you their whole story, but everybody has a story.
She hopes that this new memorial park becomes a model for our nation's healing. Antonia Hylton, NBC News, Anne Arundel County, Maryland.
Nightly Films is sponsored by Pfizer.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.